Today we are going to be reviewing Favourbrook, which is a formal wear brand based in the UK. They do men and women's wear. So I gather that prior to this recording you've had a quick look around the site to see what you like, what you think's good, what you think could be improved upon. So what we're going to do is take a look and see what our top 5 favourite things about the site are, and then the top 5 things that you think we could enhance, any recommendations that we make to improve the user experience on the site.
Let's go.
Let's do it. So if one of you could share the screen and we can start taking the tour.
I sure can. Right. Okie dokie then. So, do we want to talk about the good things first or the not so good things first?
Let's talk about the good. See what you liked about the site first.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the search. So what I love about... Look at my search history. What I love about what they've done. So if I was to type in blue, for example, they get the suggested search comes up and then some products with that particular search term within the title. They've got like the collections that have that in. So I feel like their search is it's not basic, if that makes sense. You've got quite a good variety of features within the search. The only thing that perhaps is a little bit not so great, and I think it's because I'm using a really small screen, it's within the burger menu, which would work fine on mobile, but as I'm on a desktop it would be nice to actually see that within a full nav. But I am using, even though I am using a small, maybe it's because they've got a lot of menu items here, that's why they've got it in a burger menu.
Is that likely to be via a plugin, or is that a native?
It'll be an app that they're using. It's not a Shopify native search, so either they've custom coded it, which unlikely. Most of the time it will be an app that they've used.
And this is a Shopify store, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. I do like the nav. I have also viewed it, just to say, on a larger screen, and it works quite similar. There's just a lot more space to play with.
Yeah, I think that works well. But yeah, I do like the search. I think it's quite intuitive.
Lovely. So that's number 1. What's point number 2 that you loved about the site?
Point number 2 was the USPs near the bottom of the page.
Oh,
yeah, they have some really nice USPs here. Got some icons, which is really nice. Quite descriptive as well. It's not, you don't often see quite a descriptive USP. It's normally just an icon in a short sentence. So it's quite nice to see this type of design. Maybe if it was sat like slightly higher up the page, but I do like how they have them on the homepage.
I suppose with quite expensive clothing, these are key points that you probably want to know before you make that decision to buy, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, point number 3. So it was actually looking at the product cards. This works really well on desktop, but not so well on mobile. And I don't know how we're going to be able to show people this because Leanne, you might have to hold up your phone. But what we like about it is the quick add. As you hover, you've got the button here to say add to cart, and then you would choose the size and then that would add it to your basket. You've got the notification at the top. I really like it. Sometimes quick adds, they actually just pull up a full pop-up, which is quite obstructive. In this way, in this instance, you can still see the imagery. There's a slight error on here. I think this is what we saw on mobile, isn't it, Leanne?
It is, yeah.
It's probably this same card, this particular product.
Misalignment on the sizing or something.
Yeah, I don't know why. But there's a misalignment on the size there. It's just probably a code thing that can be fixed quite easily. But in terms of like how you add it to the basket, I think it's something different. I think it's still quite intuitive. And it still means you can see kind of the imagery behind. So, and it works. It's a quick add. You're quickly adding something to the cart. So I think this works really well.
I agree. I think as well, because it doesn't have as many size options, you can get away with having them sat within the button.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you started having multiple variants, it probably wouldn't work if you have size and colour as a variant, but I'm assuming that in this instance they'd list every product out as separate products so that you wouldn't have to choose colour as a variant.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so I think the next point is on the PDP. So over to the product page for point number 4.
Yes, so these is to do with the image gallery and how they've presented it. They just got a nice range of imagery in terms of the different shots they have. So they've got different angles, they've got different zoom shots. You can see some of the material that they've got. Was that the zoom feature?
It is, although I can't get off it. Okay, that close button didn't work. But I agree. I think it's really important to have multiple angles of your products so that people can see it, especially for clothing. I think it's important to see like the different features and close-up shots of it. So
Yeah, definitely. It's nice as well to see how they style it as well.
yeah, exactly.
So the next point was around, also on the product page, if you could just take a look at another product, April. There was, so we've talked about the images there and how important they are to convey the quality of the product and the detail there. They've also got a load of supplementary written information just to give you all the information that you need, from the sizing to deliveries, returns, detailing, care, all that kind of stuff. So I think they're doing a really good job of giving the customer everything they need to know in order to make that decision to buy the product.
I love it. I love that it's all tucked away as well, like in an accordion. Although it is information that you need to read, you don't really want it to kind of detract from the imagery, which is obviously going to be your main point of deciding on whether you want to make that purchase. So I love how it's in the accordion. I think it works well.
I also like how they've got an illustration as well in the size and fit, because I think it can be quite confusing sometimes on how to measure when you're looking for a certain garment. So I think this is really helpful.
And they've got the different metric
nice
as well.
Moving on then, they're the 5 points that we loved about the site. So what are the 5 things where there's the opportunity to enhance the UX and make things even better?
So the first point I just want to look at is the add to cart. So when you add an item to the cart, they do a couple of things well. I like how they've got a loading thing on the button here and it changes to the little tick. I like that they have the notification drop down as well, albeit it's kind of a bit of a waste. I think it would be more beneficial to have a side cart so that when items get added, they actually have a side cart that pulls out with the product that they've added, you know, the size, the variant options, the price, and then also some upsell products too, something to help increase the average order value. Even when you click on cart, you get a full cart, which is fine, but you have to kind of flick between different pages, whereas if you have a side cart, you've got all that information there while still being on the same page that you were on before, so you can continue browsing.
Yeah, I think this way as well adds an extra step in the journey rather than just having the mini cart sort of slide out.
Exactly. Like if you wanted to shop multiple products on some of the products they have, you might have added that product and then you might want to view this. You'd have to go through the full cart and then back. And it's just, even when, see that's another thing, when you click on the continue browsing, it doesn't take you to the page that you were previously on. This is taking you to a collection page, which isn't great.
Yeah, that's very different. I think as well, something that they could benefit from is maybe some like payment icons in the cart as well. I think again, it's just trust element, especially if someone's buying an expensive suit or a waistcoat.
I was just about to say $2,000 I've added to my basket.
So by payment icons, you mean kind of the methods through which you can pay, like GPay, Apple Pay, all that kind of stuff?
PayPal, Google Pay, Apple Pay. If they have like Klarna or ShopPay, those badges, icons, logos, whatever, just to kind of showcase that you can shop, you can pay by different methods.
Yeah, it's because people are familiar with those icons, so again, it just installs trust when browsing.
Then I think the next point that we were going to reference was back on the homepage.
Already ahead of you there.
Very good, April.
I think I noticed this on mobile. Is there any way we can potentially see a mobile view?
Oh, is this the product card?
It was in relation to the product cards. You can't really see it on desktop. It's more so mobile.
Let's see if it's going to work.
Yes. Yeah. So perfect example here is this product carousel. Although it looks nice, it does take up quite a lot of the viewport. But if you scroll down a little, keep going, just below this gift guide, these product cards are completely different size. They're much smaller and they don't take up as much. I think it would be nice to maybe have some consistency. Maybe if they were all this size, it
I
wouldn't take up
agree.
as much room.
I think these product cards are smaller because they're doing it in a grid of 4. So I get why, but I agree. These, are they even the same size on desktop? I don't know if they are. I think they are a different size completely. But yeah, I think if they could have, this is just a little bit too big, isn't it, on mobile?
Yeah, I think with you having the swap between women's wear and men's wear, plus the button as well, there's just a lot going on, especially for mobile.
Yeah, I think on top of that, another thing that I found that was inconsistent, you've got the rounded edges on like the tabs between menswear and women's wear, the little tags on the product cards itself for style, for sale, goodness, speak English, woman. But then what they don't do is have like the rounded edge on their main CTAs. I just feel like it looks really disjointed and an afterthought. Like I know that they're different, it's a different purpose, but typically you'd see the same UI, consistent UI throughout the site.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it just looks a bit mismatched at the moment. And if you've noticed there, sorry, on gift guide, you can't really see the add to cart. I mean,
Oh yeah.
the CTA.
Is that because the image is a different colour? Oh yeah, the image. I think if they had like that as like a grey or even the red or a different colour, you'd be able to see it better.
Then I think we're moving through to the PLP, to the collection page.
Yeah. So, let's just go to waistcoat. So this was on the filtering. So the filters, again, it's catch-22. It works really well in terms of when you start filtering, it automatically loads the products in the results. But if I was to say like, right, I want a size 10 and then I want to click black or accrue, like before I've even done anything, it's closed the filter down and now it's reloading the page. And then I've got to open the filter back up and it's not even selected the colour that I want. So now I can select my colour and then I want to maybe go to waistcoat style. Do you know what I mean? It keeps closing it.
It reloads it with each selection
With
that you
each
make.
selection.
Yeah, that can be quite frustrating. I will say though, I do like how they have them set along the top there so you can see which filters you've got selected. But again, if users are going to get frustrated, they're probably not going to spend any time clicking different ones.
It's nice to see them at the top, and the filter itself works well. So, and like you can hide the filter, you can close them off, but it's just so frustrating when you want to select multiple filter variants.
I think the next point was on the PLP as well, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It was just in relation to the hero. Again, not so much desktop, I think. I think you can notice it maybe more on some other pages. It was more in relation to, again, mobile. I think just the hero images are quite tall. They do take up a lot of space, and I think on like smaller screens, shows the content below the viewport. So, for instance, you can't see any waistcoats on this page until you scroll.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree. It'd be nice to just see just a hint of a product card. Otherwise, people could think that it's an error or that there's no content on the page. You don't need it this big. I get why they've done it, probably to kind of get full view of the image, but there's lots of things you can do in terms of designing that header image section to ensure that you still get a nice view of your image, but also ensure that you can see some content.
yeah, exactly. Because users know what they're looking for when they land here, so they know that they're going to expect to see waistcoats. So maybe just shorten the image a little.
And then the final point, number 5, that we thought could do with an enhancement, I think, was on the product page.
Ah, yes. We had a bit of a debacle with this, didn't we? Oh, it's not on
We
this
did.
one. Hang on, I think it's on this one.
I think it's on the blue one.
There we go. Matt, do you want to explain this actually? Because you discovered what it meant.
Yes, well, I was perusing, I was having a look for a nice powder blue waistcoat, and I got to this page, and you see those radio buttons on the right there, so you've got 3 options. You've got Ship to Me, and then Favourbrook Menswear 2, and Favourbrook Waistcoats 12. And it took me a little while to kind of understand what was going on there. What I think it is that the second and third options are the Favourbrook stores, and I think the numbers relate to perhaps the number of items they've got in stock. But I think that could be communicated in a more clear way.
I would not have picked that up. I think we ended up having to Google, or I think they've even got their store information on the website. Unless you're well known, unless you know the brand and you've shopped and you're a return customer and you've shopped here before, I don't think that would be particularly clear.
especially as the third option is waistcoats, which is a product, but that seems to be one
Yeah.
of the locations. So it's just quite confusing, I
Yeah.
thought.
Might be nice just to see some information like with the actual address on there or just styled a bit differently. I think the radio buttons throw me off. It looks a little bit out of place. You could have like a map with like pins of the different locations so you can actually see, okay, these are locations, or even just address information just to know that it's a store rather than a product. It's just difficult to kind of determine what that is.
It could be easily missed. It's quite small as well. I think if you don't realise it's there, you could just select a size and try and add to cart straight away.
Could you imagine if somebody thought that this was an error and they like selected waistcoats because we're on a waistcoat, they added it to their bag, they paid for it, expected their order, this is very dramatic, expected their order and it just didn't turn up at their house and it was at that store? You'd be raging? I'd be raging. Imagine if it was your wedding.
Yeah, exactly. Great point.
Definitely a bit confusing there, and something that we could certainly help with to make that better and more user friendly. So what we do with all these episodes, we will take all of the designers' recommendations and insights, and we put that all into a deck, and we'll send that across to the brands so they can take a look. So what we've talked about today is just a few of the things they spotted. So yeah, I thought it was really good. It's a nice site overall, just some bits that we've identified that could make it better. And yeah, if you're a brand watching this and you'd like to have your site critiqued by our design experts, then get in touch and we will add you to the queue. Thank you both for your time.
Thank you very much for having us.
And don't forget to take all that stuff out of the cart and don't buy £3,000 worth of waistcoats.
Do not intend to.
Cool. All right, thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.